Hello everyone out there in internet video world. This is Matt Butler from Zenergy Biofuel, and I am going to share another presentation with the world from Zenergy Biofuel. This is a presentation we made in 2006 that was directly linked to building a biodiesel plant on the port of Houston. So at that point we'd had a team put together which consisted of these guys who were, Jay Thompson, still very active in Zenergy. We talk daily, sometimes all day, about Zenergy. Jim Coombs is a great financial mind that I know, who's a fellow entrepreneur. And then D. Levin Brown was a Coast Guard, a very young guy directly out of the Coast Guard, and he was in charge of environmental safety on barge traffic on the Mississippi River, so he had a lot of knowledge about how barging worked. And so we got into global opportunities and everything, and so I'll just kind of scroll through this, and you can hit the pause button if you really want to get into it. It's got a lot of data, but I want to go back to one particular slide and really focus in on that particular slide. So this is U.S. soybean feedstock. So what you have to know about biodiesel is that biodiesel in America exists because of the soybean lobby. And that's not a bad thing. You know, I'm not anti-soybean lobby at all. I think that they have every right to be in a competitive market like everyone else. But they had a surplus in their stocks. They were long in soybean oil. And the fact that they had too much supply for not enough demand meant they had surplus, which was driving down the prices. So they got together and created, you know, the U.S. Soybean Association, I think it is. I'm not really sure what it is, but it's the largest soybean lobby is the direct funder of the National Biodiesel Board. And what the soybean lobby really did was unleash the cannon of biodiesel in the United States, because they did the work to get the EPA certification that biodiesel was an accepted transportation fuel in the United States, and that's a pretty sizable investment by the EPA to do that, and it's a pretty sizable investment by the U.S. soybean lobby. So they should always be revered for what they did. But they have a fundamental problem with really making a vast difference in the amount of crude oil we use, because this same year in the United States, I think I have this down here. This will be a very casual conversation about all these things, yes. Okay, here's a good look. These are 2006 numbers. So 65 billion, gallons of diesel were consumed that same year. So if we had what's called a B20 biodiesel replacement in the United States, we'd need 13 billion gallons of biodiesel. And there's lots of good reasons to do that, mainly that the use of diesel motors should expand, which is something we can really get behind. Actually, at Zenergy, we're very pro-diesel. We're pro-renewable diesel now. We don't really have we think biodiesel works in certain places, but what I'm talking about in this presentation is relevant either way. So that year, in 2006, the National Biodiesel Board, these are 2000 U.S. Department of Consumption, and the 65 billion gallons is that's a pretty consistent number. Even so, it's gone up a little bit or down, but it's stayed pretty flat. But that's because diesel vehicles haven't been sold in larger quantities except for large trucks, and that's starting to change, and will change. Diesel vehicles are very nice; they're very powerful. So in any case, so that same year, the National Biodiesel Board said that we made 674 million gallons of total biodiesel. So there is a number of opportunities in the midst of that. There's really 12.3 billion gallons of production deficit just in the United States. So a lot of people ran off and said, "Oh boy, let's go build a plant." We got it to do. Actually, we were on that bandwagon for a moment. But then let me take it back to the slide we got to, and this is really here's the facts that the U.S. well, U.S. and Brazil are duking it out right now for the largest supply of soybean oil in the world. But the fact of the matter is if you look, take 3 billion gallons of U.S. soybean oil, and we're talking the food market here, so it's probably 85% of this is absorbed into the food market. In the feed market, mostly animal feed. A lot of it's animal feed. There is still a big, huge delta. You can't even get to, probably more than 3 or 4%. So other feedstocks have to be considered. So we started looking at other feedstocks. And this is kind of a breakdown of how many gallons per acre different feedstocks make. So there's from cotton to oil palm. Oil palm is highly debated, and there's a lot that could be said about palm or couldn't be said about palm, but the fact of the matter is there's just a lot of palm oil. Jatropha makes a lot of sense. It's a place that we personally like, but we like it for developing nations. We like it for the fact that it's a human harvest, and it actually will create jobs, not great jobs, but a job, a way to become, to bring some cash into your life for people living in very rural places throughout the world. And jatropha is very good too because it actually is a good biosequestration source. But there's other yearly crops. Yearly crops from peanut. You have peanut trees where you just have a tree orchard. You can have rapeseed. It's very nice oil. Rapeseed is definitely the Cadillac of the Cadillac. It's the BMW of the Porsche because the European German-driven biodiesel mandates basically. As much as we are out to protect the interest of soybean oil, they're out to protect the interest of rapeseed oil. And in some countries in Europe, I don't know if not all, but in some countries in Europe, they won't use canola oil because it's been genetically modified. And they don't consider it food for that purpose, which is an interesting thing. But in any case, there's some opportunity to make fuel out of canola oil at times, but we don't seem to have their same viewpoint of rapeseed oil, so a lot of it gets absorbed anyway too. But no, if you start getting into, that was such a nice piece of land. I still love that. I have an endeared piece of my life in that piece of land on the Port of Houston turning basin, but I have to say that I'm sure that it was very well underwater during Ike. But this area right here where you see the 5 and the 6 and the 7, that was really the 5, and this landing port was going to be our barge terminal. There's some economics in there. You can look at some other things. This is how much we thought it was going to cost to make it happen, and what the kind of investment we were asking for. So, no, we weren't asking for a small amount of money. And there's our contact information. You're welcome to contact us if you'd like to talk about any of this. But at this point, we're really focused in on jatropha plantations, and that's where we are doing our work in carbon credits. We're having some very good industry participation with that, and that's very encouraging to us. And we also are really out to increase the presence and educating the public about what's really happening in the world of energy and what are real choices, and because it's hard to know, out there. There's people who think about this all day long. So we spend a lot of time at it, and we enjoy doing it. So we hope you enjoyed the presentation.